he gets her escargot. And I was like, you are a dick. And he says, they're a delicacy, try it. Fuck you.
We are going to talk about a movie that came out 30 years ago last month, Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman is pretty culturally ubiquitous, but if you haven't seen it here, I'm going to catch you up a little on the plot. So, Pretty Woman is the story of VIVIAN Ward, who is played by Julia Roberts. And VIVIAN Ward is a prostitute working on Hollywood Boulevard here in Los Angeles. And one day, VIVIAN is picked up by Edward Lewis, played by Richard Gere, and he ends up hiring her to be his escort for a week. And during the course of that week, those two start to fall in love. So it's a story of personal redemption and a totally fake narrative of what it is to hire somebody for sex work. Also, Jason Alexander stars as Philip Stuckey, who is Edward Lewis's dastardly and grabby hands lawyer. So let's get started determining who the asshole is in the movie Pretty Woman. You know, let's expand the idea of who the asshole can be into something beyond just the characters. Like, is the movie itself just a big asshole? I will concede that it is a very watchable movie because Julia Roberts and Richard Gere are so great together and they're both such magnetic actors. But it is a movie that really furthers like some harmful stereotypes about sex workers, and it definitely didn't improve anything. If anything, it created problems in people's minds that needed to be overcome.
I will say this. I fucking hated this movie my whole life, and I rewatched it for you people. And I was like, by the end, I'm like, okay, who here voted for Trump? Like, that's what I was trying to figure out. Stuckey definitely voted for Trump. And I think that Edward would have voted for Trump at the beginning of the movie, but like, I'm not going to say he went like Warren territory by the end. I feel like he had an arc and that he did sort of become slightly better towards the end, I think.
Okay, so in the first scene when Barney and VIVIAN meet each other, Edward is like bringing her back to his hotel and like they're about to get on an elevator and she goes, well, color me happy. There's a sofa big enough for two. And like Richard Gere's lame ass lie to cover for her is first time on an elevator. Like she's a cave woman.
Yeah. It's, well, do you want to know the part of the movie that made me the most angry?
What?
I'm gonna tell you. When he takes her, he's like, go get a dress because we're going to this dinner. And then they get to this dinner and it's like a business dinner. And the other two people are at the dinner to do business. And she's there like a fucking bump on a log. Yeah. And then she's like, order for me. And he knows from where she comes and he gets her escargot. And I was like, you are a dick. And he says, wait, hold on. They're a delicacy. Try it. Fuck you.
Yeah. I also
wrote that down.
Oh my God, I hated that scene. I really
hated
it. Could you imagine being taken on a business meeting for your first date?
Never.
I also hated that he kept telling her to stop fidgeting.
Come with me. And stop fidgeting.
It really pissed me off that he
She was nervous.
Yeah. Stop fidgeting.
Fuck
stop
you.
fidgeting. You're not her dad.
But he did that. He had a lot of dad vibes, like the way he talked to her, telling her like what to do and how to act and shit, as if he's so great.
Yeah, I also think that movie, watching it, felt like an attempt to like give the 80s a positive arc. Like to me, Edward Lewis represents this like culmination of everything bad about the 80s. He's like this greedy, empty capitalist who buys everything, buys his girlfriend, and then at the end of it, he is still rich. Like he doesn't like lose money. You know what I mean? He's everything just turns out fine. And it seems like this way to justify all the like moral ills of the 1980s with like, it's okay.
I mean, I liked at the end that he didn't destroy the company. He like helped make the company with the old man better. Like that, they're gonna build ships. I was like, okay, but
yeah, but like,
asshole,
what kind of ships are they building? Are they building?
I don't know.
Ships?
You're the asshole who made me watch this again. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to find a fucking silver lining in Pretty Woman. Okay.
What about Kit DeLuca? I found myself worrying about her so much during this movie that it was almost
Because
distracting.
she's so dumb. Guess what? Like, she's another one. Like, she was doing drugs and she didn't pay the rent, but like it turned out fine for her too.
We don't know if it does.
Yeah, because Vivian left her with all the money.
No.
Obviously, it's fine. Because it was the 80s. Money was the answer to everything.
I did like their attempt at showing like sex worker agency of like, we say when, we say who, we say how.
I agree with that.
And like trying to like have that be a message that like permeates through the film.
Mm-hmm. I read somewhere that the original screenplay was called like $3,000 and Vivian was addicted to drugs in it.
Yes, it was supposed to be a really dark movie. I read that on fucking Wikipedia.
Yeah, the original ending I think is like they just like go their separate ways, and I think she just gets deeper into drugs. Maybe I read that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just here to say that it was originally intended to be a dark cautionary tale about class and sex work in LA.
Yeah, and it turned into a Cinderella story.
Oh God.
Richard Gere conquers his fear of heights and she finds love and money.
I did find that to
poetic.
be the most charming part of his acting in the entire movie. While he's like trying to shimmy up the fire escape, I was like, where was this energy at any point in this movie? Like, you're vulnerable and funny. Where was this?
That's the arc, Tien. That's the arc. That's how he fucking has his whole metamorphosis.
Yeah, he overcame his fear
of height and love.
So it seems like we're unanimous. Like Philip Stuckey, the lawyer who has a weird fixation on his boss and tries to assault Vivian, is this fucking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any people that fit in the highest category of asshole in this movie?
The store person that wouldn't sell Vivian clothes.
Fuck yes. Hard
agree. Those two ladies.
Yeah. Her. There's nothing here for you.
Yeah. Their like total disgusted acting was very good though.
Who is in the category of asshole but relatable? I feel like there's going to be a lot of people in this category.
Barney's asshole but relatable,
mm-hmm.
because he's like got the veneer of what he thinks the rich people want to see. But when he understands he and Vivian are like the same person, he takes care of her and
mm-hmm.
helps navigate this weird world for her. Mm-hmm. So I would say, I wouldn't even say asshole. I would say, difficult but relatable with Barney.
Yes. Complicated.
Complicated.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you on the Barney thing. I think that, all the business guys also complicated because mm-hmm. like on one hand, some of them were nice to Vivian, but on the other hand, they were fucking soulless, awful business guys. Were like, I don't know what kind of boats they were building. Were they building cruise ships that would later move on to be giant?
Were they military?
They were Navy. Yeah. They were Navy, like Navy steamers or something.
Okay, so we don't know what those were being used. The contract
was wrapped up in Congress because there's a swamp back then too.
Yeah,
I don't think Edward is a bad person or a terrible person, in the grand spectrum of bad people, but he's legitimately boring.
There is nothing dynamic about his character.
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Also, I laughed out loud when he's playing piano by himself in the piano lounge. I was like, what a tool.
Are there any people here that are not the asshole?
Vivian.
Vivian's not an asshole? I don't
think Vivian. I really liked her. I really liked Julie Roberts. As I watched that, I was like, oh, I see why she's America's sweetheart now. Sometimes you need to be reminded why.
She was charming.
So charming. She was charming.
She acted a bit like a dumb dog in parts. Like just like I was like, girl, just pull it together a little bit, Like she can be real. She doesn't have to like fall all over things. Like mm-hmm. I just felt like she was like a bit of a
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought she was charming, but her whole thing was a little bit inconsistent. Like, it didn't make sense that somebody who was working on the streets did not understand Elevators? Like there were all these things. It's like, if you swapped her, if it was like, oh yeah, Julia Roberts, she just came here from space. She's an alien. She's never been to Earth before.
She wasn't Mel.
Yeah, it would make like a little bit more sense character-wise than to have somebody who was like in LA, like trying to survive and like working as a sex worker on Hollywood Boulevard, and then they like don't know how anything works in the entire world. It's like, I don't know. Like,
but she knows how to drive stick in a really nice car.
Yeah, she knows how to drive. That's maybe her spaceship. Maybe that's the twist.
That's her space.
Pretty Woman is actually an alien. That's my lunatic interpretation. Okay, now it makes more sense. Pretty Woman is about an alien who comes to Earth and is about to kidnap Richard Gere.
Finally, an interpretation I can get behind.
I'd watch that.